There are moments when people feel something watching from inside them, not with eyes, but with presence. A quiet awareness that whispers just when the mind collapses and the heart begs for direction. Most call it intuition, some an inner voice. But what if it's something deeper? What if it's another version of you, living in a dimension where time moves billions of times faster, trying to send you signals through the thin fabric of reality? Itzhak Bentov, one of the pioneers of consciousness exploration, believed that a human being isn't an isolated creature. We are fields of vibration extending across multiple layers of existence. And within that vast energetic ocean, each of us has a twin, an echo of ourselves, existing in a faster timeline, watching, learning, and quietly guiding us toward the choices that matter most. This idea overturns everything we've been taught about reality. Yet, something about it feels true. Because every one of us has lived that dream that felt more real than life, that impossible coincidence, that sudden warning that saved someone. These are not random moments. They are the signals of that double reminders that something greater than luck is shaping our path. What you're about to see is not just reflection, it's an invitation. A deep dive into the hidden architecture of your own consciousness. By the end of this journey, you'll understand how this other you operates outside of time, how it speaks through dreams, synchronicities and intuition, and most importantly, how to strengthen this connection. Because when that communication becomes conscious, life begins to move at another frequency. Prepare yourself. What follows may forever change the way you see time, consciousness, and reality itself. When Itzhak Bentov spoke about consciousness, he didn't see life as a random sequence of events. To him, the universe was a multi-dimensional stage where every thought, every emotion, and every choice unfolds into countless parallel realities. In this cosmic dance, the double isn't just a poetic symbol. It's a living extension of consciousness itself, another version of you vibrating at a higher frequency, existing in a faster dimension of time. While your rational mind struggles to control life's rhythm, the double watches silently, experiencing the ripple effects of your decisions before they solidify in this reality. It isn't a copy. It isn't a shadow. It's your energetic counterpart, the one that walks beside you across invisible planes. Sometimes it sends warnings, through dreams, through sudden chills, through those strange coincidences that feel too precise to be chance. That's the double reaching out. Bentov described this as communication between two frequencies of the same being, the physical self and the energetic self, exchanging information through channels so subtle most never notice. The problem is that our minds are trapped in linear time, deafened by the constant noise of thought. So the double's messages are often lost, buried beneath routine and worry. But there are moments, sacred, quiet moments, when this communication breaks through. In deep sleep, when rational consciousness fades, the double can finally speak. It transmits impressions, warnings, even glimpses of realities not yet lived. You wake from a dream that feels too real, convinced it wasn't imagination but memory from another timeline. And maybe it was? Bentov believed that such dreams are moments when the human mind syncs with its double, accessing experiences happening simultaneously in another layer of time. This idea challenges logic but expands consciousness, that life is not confined to one timeline, and what we call reality is only one frequency in an infinite field of existence. What if your double constantly observes your path, adjusting your trajectory, preventing mistakes before they even happen here? What if intuition is not coincidence, but a whisper from the future self trying to steer you toward harmony? When you grasp this, something profound shifts inside. You begin to see the self not as divided, but as connected across multiple planes, bridging the visible and the unseen. And as this dialogue awakens, you start realizing that maybe time doesn't work the way we think it does. Bentov proposed that time isn't a line moving from past to future, but a vast multi-dimensional field where everything happens at once. What we call yesterday, today, and tomorrow are just limited perspectives of a single eternal now. It's as if we're frozen inside one frame of an infinite movie, believing that frame is the whole story. But in truth, the film is already complete. The universe doesn't move forward. It pulses, each beat, an eternal now, and the illusion of linear time, just the human mind's navigation system. Your double, living in that higher frequency, isn't trapped by this illusion. It sees past, present, and future as one vibrating field of possibility. And from that vantage point, it sends pieces of information, flashes that we interpret as intuition, déjà vu, or coincidence. When you knew something was about to happen, it wasn't luck. It was a brief alignment with that higher dimension where the future is already unfolding. Your body recognizes this through goosebumps, a chill, a sudden knowing, because at that instant you're touching two moments in time at once. Bentov often said that the brain is merely a receiver. Time isn't something outside of us. It's the decoding mechanism of consciousness. Your double doesn't need to decode. It perceives everything, the full symphony, not just one note. And when you realize this, destiny itself begins to look different. If time is alive, not linear, then the future isn't fixed. It's flexible, shifting with your vibration, your choices, your awareness. Your double, moving billions of times faster, experiments with all possible outcomes. It explores the ripple effects of every decision and then tries to guide you toward the version that leads to greater harmony. Those sudden insights, those quiet nudges to wait or act, they're not random. They're micro-adjustments from the double, whispering across timelines. In those moments of stillness, a pause, a sudden moment of peace, you might feel an answer forming from nowhere. That's your double connecting you to the eternal now where all realities coexist. Bentov used to say, life is like a wave vibrating within a larger wave. Time is simply the rhythm we perceive. When you sense that every thought, every emotion, every choice is part of a grand cosmic song, past and future dissolve. Only the melody of this present moment remains, guided by the silent hand of your other self. If everything is connected, if every decision ripples through layers of time, then the next question becomes unavoidable. How real is the world we see? At some point in the evolution of consciousness, the suspicion arises that the physical world might not be as solid as it seems. That reality itself could be more like a vast simulation, a field designed not to trap us, but to teach us. Modern researchers like Tom Campbell describe the universe as a kind of training ground for consciousness, a simulation created for the evolution of the soul. The body, in this view, is just a temporary suit we wear to navigate a dense environment of time, emotion, and consequence. Our true identity lives outside the game in the realm of pure awareness. Itzhak Bentov saw the same principle from a different angle. He described the universe as a vibrational structure, a sea of frequencies where each being is a spark of cosmic intelligence, exploring itself through experience. Life, then, is not a random accident, but an intelligent system, a spiritual classroom built to expand perception. Within this design, the double is the bridge, the link between the player and the character. It's the interface between the consciousness that observes and the one that acts. And the moment you understand that consciousness, not the body, is the true player of this game, everything changes. Suffering, fear, and chaos stop looking like punishments. They reveal themselves as programmed challenges, levels of learning meant to trigger growth. Every pattern that repeats in your life, every difficult person, every recurring situation is a lesson asking for a higher response. Your double, faster and clearer than your conscious mind, sees these loops before you do. It observes, analyzes, and tries to guide you out of repetition, sending clues toward the path that leads to expansion. Because in this simulation, every thought you send out, every emotion you radiate, shapes the environment around you. Reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. That's why people aligned with their inner essence seem to move effortlessly through life. They don't chase, they flow. They trust the game, knowing that their double, their higher intelligence, constantly adjusts the code in their favor. If reality is a simulation, then the physical laws we see are the rules of the system. Not to limit us, but to help consciousness experience density, to learn what can't be learned in timeless realms. That realization doesn't make life less meaningful. It makes it sacred. Every choice becomes significant. Every emotion becomes data. Every act of kindness, every moment of awareness, carries real weight in the evolution of your soul. Because this world, this illusion of time and matter, exists so that consciousness can evolve through contrast. It's the only way the infinite can know itself. And when you recognize yourself as the player, not just the character, your perception of reality shifts forever. You start to see the signs, the synchronicities, the repeating patterns. You notice the small winks from the universe, those perfectly timed moments that seem impossible to explain. That's communication. The dialogue between you and your double, between the observer and the avatar. At that point, the game changes. Life stops being a reaction and starts becoming creation. You begin to play consciously, aware that every move is mirrored by your higher self across the veil of dimensions. And it's right there, in that awareness, that the next stage of the journey begins, learning how the double actually speaks, and how to truly listen. Communication with your double doesn't happen through words. It doesn't speak in language or logic. It communicates through frequency, through subtle feelings, images, and alignments that bypass the mind and reach straight into intuition. To perceive it, the noise has to fall away. The mind must quiet down. Because the double speaks in silence, and silence is its native tongue. When your mind races, when your energy is tense, the signal fades. But when you slow down, when you rest, breathe, or drift into sleep, the connection opens. During sleep, when the rational mind dissolves, the channel clears. That's when the double begins to transmit fragments of experience from other timelines, lessons from other versions of you. They arrive as dreams, sometimes abstract, sometimes vivid, but always meaningful. What looks like random imagery is often a message, coded in symbols your unconscious can understand. Each scene, each emotion, each symbol carries data, guidance, answers to questions you haven't even asked yet. That's why Bentov said that dreams are more than imagination. They're transmissions, bridges between realities. But the double doesn't only communicate while you sleep. It also speaks in moments of still awareness when you're awake, but open. That sudden flash of clarity, that instinctive yes or no before logic arrives, that's your double talking. Sometimes it's physical, a tightening in the chest before a bad decision, a sudden lightness before a good one. That isn't superstition, it's energetic language. Your body is the instrument, and intuition is the vibration it translates. Intuition is the shared language between both versions of you, silent but precise. And the more you learn to trust it, the clearer the signal becomes. But the double doesn't only speak inside you. It also rearranges the outside world to send messages. Synchronicities, those perfectly timed coincidences that make you stop and think, are its way of pulling your attention. A number that repeats, a phrase overheard at the exact moment you need it, an unexpected encounter. These are not random. They are alignments. It's as if the universe bends itself slightly to remind you're on the right path. These synchronicities are orchestrated by an intelligence that exists beyond time, an aspect of yourself fine-tuning the simulation so you don't get lost. And yes, at first this can feel unsettling, because it challenges everything we've been told about reality. But once you recognize that consciousness extends beyond the body, that it moves through time, space, and energy, fear turns into wonder. Communication with the double stops feeling supernatural and starts feeling natural, a constant dialogue with your own higher awareness. Then everything shifts. Dreams become messages, coincidences become confirmations, and life itself becomes a conversation between two worlds, one physical, one timeless. As your sensitivity sharpens, the signs grow unmistakable. They appear not in grand visions, but in small, precise ways, everyday moments that carry a strange weight, a quiet knowing. When you pay attention, they transform how you see everything. The first sign often comes through dreams, not ordinary ones, but ones that feel realer than real. You wake up with the memory of having lived another life, made other choices. That's because your double has. Those dreams are memory fragments from a parallel version of you. Then comes intuition, the calm voice that simply knows. It doesn't argue or explain. It just points, clean, direct, and sure. It's your double guiding you based on what it has already seen unfold. Next are synchronicities, those improbable alignments that seem choreographed by an unseen hand. Numbers that repeat, messages that arrive out of nowhere. A stranger saying exactly what you needed to hear. The double uses the fabric of reality itself as its medium, arranging events like words in a sentence. And sometimes there's déjà vu, that eerie sense of having lived this moment before. From this perspective, déjà vu is memory bleeding through. Your double's recollection of an event experienced in another timeline. It's a glimpse across dimensions. You might also wake with the solution to a problem that felt impossible the night before. That's the double again, doing its work while you sleep, exploring alternate realities and bringing back the answer when you're ready to receive it. Even sudden impulses, those spontaneous decisions that feel both irrational and right, often come from this higher part of you. The double sees a danger or opportunity before it appears and acts to redirect your path. And then there's that mysterious familiarity when you meet someone for the first time but feel like you've known them forever. That's the recognition between doubles, consciousnesses that have met in other dimensions, now crossing paths again in physical form. These signs are the fingerprints of your double, proof that the connection is alive. It never forces communication. It whispers. It nudges. It invites. It's up to you to listen. The more you cultivate awareness, the more you slow down, pay attention, and trust your intuition, the clearer the conversation becomes. And at that point, the dialogue between worlds truly begins. If the double is the silent architect guiding your path, then the real question is how to strengthen your connection with it. How do you bridge the distance between the visible and the invisible? Between the mind that lives inside time and the one that exists beyond it? The truth is that you don't create this connection, you remember it. It has always been there, waiting for you to quiet the noise long enough to hear it again. The key is alignment. Your double operates through coherence, not chaos. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions vibrate in harmony, the signal becomes clear. But when you live in fear, distraction, or constant inner conflict, the channel distorts. That's why every spiritual teaching begins with silence. Not the absence of sound, but the stillness of mind, the moment when inner turbulence dissolves and you return to presence. Itzhak Bentov explained that when the human body enters deep stillness, the heart's rhythm begins to synchronize with the earth's magnetic pulse. In that moment, the body becomes a tuning fork, resonating with the consciousness field that holds all information. This is the state where communication with your double naturally occurs. The connection doesn't require effort, only practice. It begins in small, intentional moments. When you wake each morning, before you check your phone or step into the noise of the world, pause, take a breath. Feel gratitude for simply being alive, for having another chance to play this human game. Gratitude, more than any technique, instantly raises your vibration and opens the channel to your double. Throughout the day, move with awareness. Notice patterns, coincidences, and the emotions that surround them. When something feels charged with meaning, it's not random, it's a signal. Your double is weaving data into your reality, nudging you through intuition rather than logic. Learn to trust those subtle feelings. The more you listen, the more precise they become. But the most powerful time to communicate with your double is before sleep. When the conscious mind fades, the door between dimensions opens. This is when you can program communication deliberately. Before closing your eyes, form a clear, simple intention, not a demand or a wish, but an invitation. Show me what I need to understand. Guide me to the path of least resistance. Align me with the version of me that already knows, then let go completely. Fall asleep without expectation. The double receives your request and begins its work, exploring possible futures, rearranging probabilities, and sending messages that may appear as dreams, sensations, or sudden insights the next morning. When you wake, resist the urge to rush. Stay still for a few seconds and ask yourself what you felt or saw. Even if nothing seems clear, trust that the message was delivered. Awareness itself strengthens the bridge. Over time, you begin to feel the presence of your double, not as something external, but as a vast intelligence sharing your heartbeat. Your intuition sharpens. You start anticipating events before they unfold, not through prediction, but through resonance. As the connection deepens, synchronicities multiply. Dreams become vivid, and the flow of life starts to feel lighter, not because it's easier, but because you no longer walk alone. You're walking with something ancient, patient, and infinitely wise. Eventually you realize that the double was never separate from you. It is you, the part of you that never forgets, never sleeps, and never dies. When this awareness becomes constant, every decision, every silence, every heartbeat feels guided by a higher intelligence. Life stops being a reaction and becomes creation. Each moment is orchestrated, not by chance, but by conscious alignment. That's when manifestation truly begins. It's not about forcing outcomes or convincing the universe to give you what you want. It's about attuning yourself to the intelligence that already knows the perfect outcome. Your double doesn't need you to ask. It only needs you to be coherent, calm, grateful, aligned. When both aspects of your being, the one inside time and the one beyond it, move in harmony, life stops being a struggle for control and becomes a graceful dance of awareness. And in that dance, you discover the ultimate secret of manifestation. It's not about attracting something external, but remembering that you and the universe were never separate to begin with. There comes a moment in the journey when the bridge between you and your double stops feeling like theory and starts to become experience. This is the moment of alignment, the point where the vibration of your thoughts, emotions, and intentions sync perfectly with the intelligence that orchestrates your life. It's not something you plan or predict. It happens quietly, almost unnoticed, until one day you realize that everything around you has begun to respond differently. Alignment feels less like achievement and more like remembrance. It's the instant when the version of you inside time and the version of you beyond it move in perfect coherence. The double, your higher aspect, no longer guides from a distance, it merges with you. You feel a sense of timeless calm and intuitive certainty that every event, even the difficult ones, is part of a precise unfolding. The struggle to make things happen dissolves because you finally understand that reality was never against you, it was waiting for you to match its frequency. Itzhak Bentov described consciousness as a standing wave, oscillating between the physical and non-physical realms, constantly exchanging information. When your frequency matches that of your double, the interference patterns that once created confusion or resistance collapse into harmony. What follows is the phenomenon mystics and quantum theorists both try to describe in their own language: manifestation. But manifestation isn't magic in the way we imagine it. It's physics. Every intention you send into the field sets off a vibration, a wave traveling through the fabric of possibilities. Your double, existing outside of time, observes all potential outcomes and aligns you with the one that matches your current energetic signature. When that match becomes exact, when your inner state mirrors the reality you seek, the probabilities converge, the outcome materializes. To the human mind, it appears as coincidence, luck, or sudden opportunity, but to consciousness, it's simple resonance. In these moments of alignment, time behaves differently. You begin to notice how the right people appear at the exact moment you need them, how obstacles rearrange into openings, how life starts to feel choreographed by an invisible precision. The logical mind wants to call it chance, but the heart knows better. You feel guided, carried, synchronized with something greater than reason, the gentle intelligence of your double adjusting the simulation in real time. This is also the stage where personal will begins to transform. You no longer force outcomes through anxiety or effort. Instead, you act from inspiration. Decisions arise naturally without inner debate. The impulse to move, speak, or create flows effortlessly because it's not coming from the personality, it's the double moving through you. You become the instrument, not the musician. And the music is flawless. Some traditions describe this as the fusion of timelines. The you who imagined, the you who acted, and the you who already achieved all collapse into one coherent state. In that instant, the future you desired becomes the present you inhabit. You feel it in your body, a warmth in the chest, a subtle expansion of awareness, a quiet knowing that nothing is missing. Reality feels lighter, more fluid, as if it's listening to you in real time. This merging doesn't make you superhuman, it makes you whole. The boundaries between the physical and the spiritual dissolve. Every moment becomes both sacred and ordinary, both divine and practical. The simple act of breathing feels like participation in something cosmic. You realize that the universe is not a place you live in, but a living intelligence expressing itself as you. From this state, manifestation is no longer about control but communion. You don't command the universe. You collaborate with it. You recognize that every desire you've ever had was never random. It was the echo of your double calling you toward alignment. What you seek is seeking you because both are facets of the same consciousness trying to reunite. Eventually, even the idea of separation disappears. There is no you and your double, only one field of awareness experiencing itself through countless mirrors. You become the observer and the observed, the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the creation. And in that realization, a quiet smile forms, because you finally understand what Bentov meant when he said that consciousness is learning to know itself through experience. This is the moment of alignment, when the player and the game become one. It's not the end of the journey, but the beginning of conscious existence. From here, life stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that flows through you. The double no longer guides from the shadows. It walks with you, speaks through intuition, creates through your hands. Every step, every breath, every heartbeat becomes part of the same cosmic rhythm. And that is the highest form of manifestation, not to bend reality to your will, but to move so deeply in harmony with it that reality itself becomes your reflection. So if at this very moment something inside you feels still, a quiet recognition, a soft pull behind the heart, that is not coincidence. It's your double reminding you that you have never been walking alone. Every signal, every dream, every impossible coincidence was a whisper from the part of you that already knows, the one that sees beyond time, the one that's been waiting for you to remember. You were never a fragment lost in the universe. You are the universe exploring itself through a human story. Every thought you've had, every emotion you've lived, every person you've met, all of it pieces of a larger design written by a consciousness that has never stopped loving you. Bentov called it the dance of awareness, a movement so vast that it carries galaxies and heartbeats in the same rhythm. And now you are part of that rhythm again, not as an observer, but as the music itself. So, tonight, before you sleep, whisper gratitude to that silent presence within you. Ask for guidance, not from the world, but from your own vastness. Listen to what answers in the stillness. It will not speak in words, but in peace. Because when the noise fades, what remains is truth. And if these words reached you, if something in you stirred while listening, it means your double is already speaking. Follow that voice. Let it lead you through the veils of illusion back to the center of what you truly are. You are not learning to connect with the infinite. You are the infinite, remembering itself through the dream called you. Thank you for watching. And if this message resonated with the deepest part of you, subscribe, stay close, and continue this journey with me, because this is only the beginning, and the next video may be exactly the sign your double has been waiting to show you.